Assalamu alaikum ya jama'ah. Well, some friends told me that I should make a video in English for explaining the Arabic grammar in English. So let's see. How about today we talk about the nouns and adjectives that end with a long A and how they are declined in Arabic. Let's have a look at this. For example, we take first, let's see, there's the indeterminate status, indeterminate, and the determined one, of course. And what else? There are triptodes. In Arabic, as always, there are two kinds of declensions for nouns: the triptode and the diptode one. No, triptode is baytun, baytin, baytan, and diptode is madarisu, madarisa, madarisa. Well, here we have the example mustawa, mustawa, ends with a long R. So let's vocalize it. Mustawan. What's that supposed to mean? This thing here, those fathatain, is the declension of the noun when it's indeterminate. And first, there is no difference for cases. All three cases, nominative, genitive, and accusative, are summarized in this one ending. So basically it's blind for the three different cases in Arabic, but there's still a difference between indeterminate and determined one, in the indeterminate and determined one. And so what we need to look at is that it's read as mustawan, right? So we basically don't look at this alif maqsura, this ya without dots, which is a long R. We read it like this, mustawan. But when we pause after reading this word, when we stop reading, then we will read it as mustawa with a long R, as if there's only one fatha here. We can also write it with Latin letters, mustawan, or mustawa. When normal, basically mustawan, but if we stop after the word, when we read the text or speak, if we stop, we read it as mustawa. That's the only thing we need to have in mind. Else it's super easy. There's no difference between nominative or genitive or accusative case. And when it's determined, it's even more easy. Well, determined means like with article al, or also if it's the leading word of a following genitive. Al-mustawa. Just the fatha, just long A at the end. Nothing tricky about it. Well, what if we have a diptode noun or adjective that ends with a long A? And by the way, normally it's this alif maqsura if it's a long A at the end of a noun or also of a verb. You know, this ya without dots, but sometimes it can be a normal alif, or alif mamduda, how it's called in Arabic. But As for nouns, I couldn't really find a general rule for that. Normally they write this year without dots if the noun ends with a long R, but it's not really important. I mean, there are some rules, some other stuff, some exceptions. However, if it's dip-toed and ends with a long R, like ala, vocalizing it, that's all. There's no such a thing as alen, it's just ala if it's a dip-toed one, when it's indeterminate. And of course also there's no difference between the cases, nominative, genitive or accusative, they are all the same. It's blind for cases. And when it's determined, it's also al-ala. I mean, of course, like always, there's no difference between the trip-toads and dip-toads if the noun is determined, like with article al, or when it's the leading word of a genitive. So here, of course, it's all the same. The difference is only if it's indeterminate, then trip-toads end with an, and dip-toads just with long a. Well, I mean, what else can be confusing about it? Should I mention that that a noun that ends with a long a has nothing to do with being masculine or feminine? I mean, that's not a feminine ending. This long a is produced because the third root letter is either a yeah or a well. We can have a look at this. For example, which form is mustawan? According to which form is it built or made? It's mufta'alun, right? Mufta'alun. And the form according to which ala is made is af'alu. 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 And now we can see why this is trip-toed and this is dip-toed, because mufta'al is trip-toed, mufta'alun, mufta'alin, mufta'alan, while af'al is dip-toed, af'alu, af'ala, af'ala. So we need, if we see a noun that ends with a long a, but we want to know is it a trip-toed or a dip-toed, we need to look at its form. For example, here it's mufta'al, it's trip-toed, so it must be mustawan, not just mustawa like here. But a'la is built according to the form af'al. So this is dip-toed, af'alu, af'ala, af'ala, so it will just be a long a. There's no such a thing as a'lan. By the way, what is the reason that it becomes a long a at the end? As mentioned before, the third root letter